Today's Vlog-A-Day 956, and I just want to remind you, stay safe, kids. Good morning. For those of you that are new to my vlog, which there are a number of you, I haven't done a recap in a while. The idea is that while I, advance the storyline of my life by talking about what I'm doing today, which is, or at least was going to be getting a new microphone, which I ended up ordering on Amazon against my better judgment. I was, the wheel footage finally sealed the deal. Like, I had to get that done. So my microphone should actually get here today. Not this kind of microphone, a microphone for the camera. But while we advance that story, because I actually have to leave, he checks a watch that's not on his wrist. I have a meeting here shortly. There are a number of things about me that maybe you don't know. Maybe you just stumbled into this whole thing because you watched a video about how to use the Metro and then you're like, well, this guy seems kind of interesting, enough to stick around for a while. But what are those things about him that make him interesting, you might be wondering? One, why do I have this microphone? Primarily, it's to record the audiobook of my book. This is a book that I kickstarted last year. Courier's Off-Grid, available on Amazon. I'm way behind on the process of actually turning this into an audiobook, which is a promise for those Kickstarter backers. I would say that I live without regrets, but that one is definitely turning into a little bit of a regret, getting on top of that. The other reason, of course, is that I do end up using this when I stream on Twitch. And for a variety of other things. The Twitch streaming thing is fairly new. Playing video games is something that I haven't had time or the energy to do for years, and I'm just doing it for fun every once in a while. Mondays, and usually one of the weekend days as well. We'll keep talking, but I really need to go. I live in Paris, obviously, if you haven't caught that much. You might be asleep, not sure. And where I'm headed right now is a place called Paul Rambo, which is one of my favorite little coffee shops in town. It's a poetry-based coffee shop. Some tasty food, a lovely mother-daughter operation. Of course, if you're struggling with the pronunciation of Paul Rambo, you can just say Paul A. Rambo, and I'm sure that'll work just fine. If you want to find all these fun coffee spots, lunch places, places for drinks, good photo locations, all that, I did write a guide to this city, which I highlighted pretty heavily like a week ago. I'll link to that video if you want to see more of that. But that guide and all the recommendations in it are serving kind of as a basis or a launching point for something I've been talking about a lot lately, which I've been referring to as the game. We'll talk more about it here in a second. I've been really encouraged by these meetings that I've been having with partners, people that because they're people I love, like the businesses that I'm going to be working with, the cafes, everything. Like they're great, and it's been super encouraging to be working more and more with them, or at least to be getting some positive feedback from them. But we'll get into the game more here soon. There's some spoilers involved there. Can't jump into quite yet. I'm sure a number of you figured out kind of the gist of what's going on, or at least have some inklings, but I'm hoping that there's some fun surprises for everyone. And I hope the whole thing is fun. We'll figure it out as we go. But I know a number of you haven't been around long enough to figure out like how I got here or anything like that, even though there are videos about that as well. I'm actually here on a talent visa, and the whole story, the summary of it is basically that everything that could go wrong was going wrong in my life. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, launching a company, had some book deals on the table, everything fell through, was not looking good. And I started vlogging thinking, well, one of these things is gonna take off. It's a great time to capture the story of my meteoric rise in one of, a few categories at least. And it was more like meteoric sputtering out. Audio struggles everywhere you go out here. Anyways, I applied for visa on a lark to come back to Paris. This whole thing's actually in my vlog. If you go back and watch from the beginning, you'll see so much of this happened in real time. Applied for the visa on a lark. Wasn't really sure that I would get it. Ended up getting an even better visa. And now I'm here on basically a talent visa that's good for 4 years. And it gives me the privilege to work here and to pursue my projects here. And seriously, how did like you start recording again and all of a sudden everything audio goes wrong? It gives me the right to work here. Pretty much the only thing I can't do here is vote. Yeah, I think that's about it. Either way, I'm really, really fortunate to have the opportunity to be here, living in France, specifically in Paris, which is where I really want to be, and doing my own thing. They're lovely local Parisian ladies who opened a cafe about 1 year and 3 months ago, she said. And it's just so nice, and they're so warm and friendly and filled with books. Love. It's great. Anyways, part of the reason I have an obsession with coffee shops is not just because I do enjoy coffee a lot, but because I love writing in them. And I forgot to show you any of the other books that I've written. I write fantasy and science fiction, most of which are available on Amazon. And so I needed to find good spots to sit and write all the time. And there's a huge challenge in doing that in Paris because open hours at cafes and the culture, they don't always necessarily appreciate laptops on tables. So it's always been a challenge. And that's actually one of the reasons that I've found so many places along the way. It's because I was always looking for a place to work, and I didn't want to outstay my welcome anywhere. And by doing that, I actually found a lot of the places that were super welcoming, filled with friendly people, beeping trucks that are popping up on the curb in front of me, all the good stuff. And I've just met some really amazing people along the way, which I'm really, really happy for. So, great meeting. Lots to come. I think next week is going to be an insanely busy week, and you're going to learn so many things about the game for those of you that have been following along with that. For those of you that are like, what the heck is he talking about? Well, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out here soon enough. It is one of my goals. I was just thinking about this. Revisit the champagne bottles to talk about goals, but I don't know that I really want to wait that long to get back to the champagne bottles. Basically, I have some bigger goals for the year. If we hit those goals, I'll pop the champagne bottle with that goal written on it. It's a fun idea. I like doing it. Did it last year. It was great. One of the biggest goals, though, that is not on a champagne bottle, because it's a long-term goal, is to become a dual citizen, to get my French citizenship, for a lot of reasons. But largely because I want to live here. I want to stay here. I want to be here for a long time. And that's also one of the reasons that I want to develop stuff like the game that I'm doing right now. Because in my mind, there are ways of trying to contribute to Paris, to France in general, but really, how do I be the best citizen of the city that I'm living in while I'm there? I think it's really important to be a good citizen, if not the best citizen. No, I'll just go for good citizen, but how can I contribute to a community and not just take from it? How can I help build into the community? How can I help be a part of something positive here, not just for myself, but for everyone around me, both the people that are coming in just to visit, but also the people that live here and need to make a living here. I think those are really important things to be thinking about. That's something I already think about within the context of my vlog, but that I'm thinking about very actively as well in the production of things or the development of things, the mystery game that I keep talking about and not really giving you enough details on. And yeah, things were pretty rough when I first got here, actually. Very stressful, financially in particular. The job that I squared away when I got here hired me after making me jump through hoops for a month, but they didn't have work for me for 6 months. So that's how I ended up doing bike tours for the summer, which I really enjoyed, but weren't quite enough to make ends meet. Things kind of fell apart towards the end of that year, and then thankfully everything has kind of turned around through a series of events and choices that I made along the way, all of which is documented, like I said, in the vlog, because I was filming the whole time, and I've really, really enjoyed vlogging every day, even though it's challenging at times for sure, and actually really hard to do sometimes. It's been really cool as a project overall, and to share my life, and to see how things have taken an upward turn, largely thanks to my patrons, thanks to a lot of the friends that I've made along the way here in Paris, and just, I don't know, it's been a really, really good couple of years, even though it was really, really hard starting out, really stressful, and a real struggle. I was at the bottom of a pretty dark hole when I finally got to Paris, and it's taken me a long time to crawl out of it, but I definitely feel like I've crawled out of it fairly well. Oh, also, here's another one of those books that I've written, if you find that on Amazon, Into the Nanton. You know, fun stuff. Anyways, that should get you pretty well caught up. If you were wondering about any of those things, of course, there are tons of other videos that you can watch that'll get you caught up one way or another, but I figured that'd be a nice little recap for those of you who weren't aware of what the overall themes were, what's going on. And the reason that I share so much about Paris isn't so much because I actually want to be terribly involved in tourism itself, but it's because I love this city. And I know a lot of people struggle for one reason or another when they first come here to appreciate it or to enjoy it, and their experience might be tainted one way or another through an early experience. And I have always kind of had a chip on my shoulder about that I've wanted to try and help people see and understand and appreciate Paris, maybe through preparation of expectations, maybe through just helping them ease into the culture here a little bit, whatever it is, so that they can enjoy and love Paris just as much as I do. That's the hope, at least. Whether or not it works out, I suppose is up to you. In the meantime, I need to go for a run, which I'm going to go do right now. And then I'm going to try and relax a little bit tonight because this weekend is going to be bonkers. There's a lot going on, and the following week's going to be nuts too. So I've been trying to relax a little bit today, even though I still had a meeting that I had to go to, which was great. And so I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for, I believe, a croissant making tour. I'm going to go on one of Valkyrie's croissant tours, and theoretically, I actually don't know what the details are yet on it, like this one specifically, but I think we get to make croissants, or at least some portion of it, because the croissant making process is a really long process. So hopefully we get to do something. Hopefully we get to eat croissants. That's what I'm in this for. Hopefully we get to eat. That's what I really want. I mean, what else is there to want from a croissant tour of any kind? I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for croissants.